everyone, welcome to another video. Remember, if you love film or television content, please consider clicking that subscribe button because it is time to talk about the new Darren Aronofsky A24 film, The Whale, starring Academy Award nominee Brendan Fraser. That feels so good to say, so let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about with this is my background with Aronofsky's work. I've seen a few of his films and I hold the opinion that while I do like his films, I'm not as high on them as everyone else is. I can't really tell you why either. It's just that I kind of watched them once and go, that was a really good movie, and then never really rewatch them again. I usually love the themes he explores, and he has a very unique style of direction that's quite dark and introspective. With that said, maybe a bit of a hot take here, but I think The Whale could be my favorite film of his. It's an incredibly focused movie that treats the topics that the film is dealing with incredible respect and is written extremely well. I thought I was over the whole characters in one room talking it out for 2 hours genre pretty much since 2020 when they released like 1,000 of these. But no, going back to that genre again after seeing some incredibly ambitious movies felt kind of refreshing. Without wasting too much time, let's get into Brendan Fraser's performance. It is obviously amazing. It is easily his greatest performance, and if he wins an Academy Award, it will be very well deserved because it is just one of those performances that draws you into the film. He goes through so many emotions, and there are just so many scenes here that tug at your heartstrings, and that is mainly due to a combination of the screenplay and the performance combined. There are sure screaming scenes with Brendan Fraser involved, but it's not just that. He gives a very nuanced performance at times where you see devastation or hope in his face. The Whale mashes extreme hope and positivity with darkness and cynicism in a really beautiful way, and Fraser's performance needs to go through all of that, and he wades through that pretty well.
At that moment, I was just so happy.
I think Fraser's performance has kind of dominated the conversation around this movie, and I do understand why. The other cast members deserve a lot of credit and recognition too, because they are all great. There is not one weak performance in this film. Hong Chow gives a very well-deserved Oscar nomination performance, and Sadie Sink also gives maybe career best work. There has been comments about her character being very unlikable, that it doesn't really justify Fraser's character being so hung up on building a relationship with her. I think that is very wrong in many ways. There are no good or bad people in this movie. Her character is 16 years old. She is not a mature adult, and she's dealing with very heart-wrenching emotions that have been pent up pretty much her whole life at this point. While we like Fraser and his character is very easy to root for and understand, he has made mistakes in his life that justify Sadie Sink's emotions in the film, and I think the screenplay and Aronofsky's direction go through that really well in a very authentic way, and it honestly hit on some pretty personal things in my life in a scarily relevant way. We as people always want a clear distinction between good and bad, and this film blurs the lines because us as three-dimensional human beings like to think we are good, but we all make mistakes. I think that's the thing that doesn't get enough conversation really with this film. Darren Aronofsky's direction, while a lot more subtle compared to other films of his like Mother or Black Swan, he still weaves stylistic choices into this film. I think firstly, the use of 4:3 was a brilliant choice that I didn't know that I needed. I think it made this a lot more intimate, and the confined space that Fraser's character is in feels even more so. I also think the way that this film shows food as an addiction was a very interesting choice because for this character, that pretty much is the case. He knows it is killing him, and he keeps going because he is punishing himself for what has happened in his past. You can also see some very similar themes that you see in Aronofsky's other films, like the use of religion. He always weaves it in very interesting ways, I think, and I thought he did the same here with The Whale. The only time I thought it could have been at the detriment of the film was at the end. While I didn't mind the choice, I still like it. I just saw a moment that would have made me burst into tears, and it was on the verge of happening, and he chooses to showcase the religious theme here, which, as I said, I do like. I just would have preferred the other thing that I was picturing. I can't really talk about that in detail without spoiling the film, so take with that what you will. Overall, The Whale is an excellent film that I definitely recommend to you. It had me tearing up a couple of times, and as I said, it was very close to pushing me over the top. It just chose to do something else instead, which I need to reiterate I did like. I'm going to give The Whale a 4.5 out of 5. I wish I saved my personal Oscars video a little later because I could see this snagging a few nominations in a couple of categories. I'm always happy to see an A24 film. You see the shirt, I love their work, and this is just another reason why. I know they're a distribution company and sometimes they produce, but they pick some damn good films. It's just so heartfelt, and I just can't help but recommend it to you. If Fraser wins the Academy Award, it will be well deserved, and I look forward to seeing his speech on Oscar Day. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. Tell me, if you've seen The Whale, what you think about it in the comments below. I also like to know what your favorite film from Aronofsky is. He has a pretty interesting filmography, so I want to know what your pick is in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.